What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Bigboyfactsjonnytv, and tonight I'll go over my WWE NXT Roadblock review on highlights. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys please hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications to get notified when I premiere a brand new video or go live on YouTube. Follow my social media, my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch, and Discord down below in the description. Now let's get started. Now WWE NXT Roadblock gets a 5.1, and that's all I gotta say. The 2023 WWE NXT Roadblock special opens up with the USA Network with Tiffany Stratton taking a seat backstage. She says she's ready, then welcomes us to Tiffany's the Roadblock edition. Tiffany Stratton can't believe we're 25 days away from Stand and Deliver, but several superstars have roadblocks on their journey there. Tiffany Stratton hypes up tonight's matches. She confirms the NXT Women's title will be in the main event. She goes on and says, "It's not about the journey, it's about the destination." Tiffany Stratton signs off, and now we're live from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, as Vic Joseph welcomes us. He joins at ringside by WWE Hall of Famer Booker T. Okay, so we get a jailhouse street fight. Tony D'Angelo versus Dijak. That was a decent street fight. This was a decent match. We go right to the match for tonight's opener, and our first comes Tony D'Angelo with Channing Stacks Lorenzo, as Alicia Taylor does the introductions. We see a large cage on display in the entranceway. This will be held under street fight rules with a twist. Vic says there are no countouts, pinfalls, or submissions. The only way to win is by locking your opponent in the jail cell. Out next comes Dijak. He taps the cage bars with his nightstick as Tony and Stacks looks on. The bell rings and Dijak quickly decks Stacks off the apron with the nightstick. Tony attacks and they go to the floor. Tony slams Dijak on top of the nightstick. Tony fights Dijak to the cage now. Okay, excuse me. Tony puts Dijak in the cage, but Dijak resists and fights his way out. Dijak then knocks Tony into the cage, but Tony stops him from closing it. They brawl with some big strikes before Dijak rams Tony into the edge of the apron. A steel chair comes into play from Tony, but it backfires and Stacks goes back down. Dijak capitalizes and brings it back into the ring for high justice in the middle of the ring for a big pop. Dijak starts throwing a bunch of chairs into the ring, and some land on Tony. Fans chant for tables. Dijak with chair shots over the back to keep Tony down now. Dijak goes to the top, but Tony smacks him in the back with a chair. Tony climbs up and hits a huge back superplex, slamming Dijak into the chairs and the mat. Fans chant NXT as we go to picture-in-picture commercial. Back from the break, and Dijak rocks Tony onto a table, standing at ringside. Dijak then returns to the ring, and springboards out, flying through the air to put Tony through the table. Fans chant "Holy you know what" as the referee checks on Tony. Dijak tosses Tony into the jail cell again, but Tony won't let him close the door. Tony grabs Dijak's previously hurt finger and dislocated it again to fight his way out of the cell. Stacks holds the cell door open as Tony throws him in, but Dijak pulls Stacks in with him, choking him out. Tony thinks about sacrificing Stacks, but he gets smacked with the door and goes down. Dijak fights out and levels Stacks over the barrier with a big boot. Tony snaps and unloads on Dijak now, beating him around into the steel ring steps. Tony with several chair shots over the back now as fans go wild. Fans chant for Tony and he goes to put Dijak in a cell, but Dijak drops him with a low blow to Booze. Dijak will feast your eyes by the cell by the cell now. Dijak placed Tony in the cell flat on his back. Dijak goes to shut the door, but Stacks rushes over and throws himself in between the door. Dijak with feast your eyes. Two Stacks on the floor. Dijak turns around and Tony beating him with a crowbar. Tony beats Dijak into the cell and locks the door for the win. The winner of the match, Tony D'Angelo. This was a decent jailhouse street fight. Decent match. After the match, Tony stands tall as the music hits. The replay shows where Tony got the crowbar from. Stacks slid it to him when he threw himself in the way of the door. Stacks and Tony stand tall in the ring now, posing as fans cheer them on. Then they hug to the end the segment. Okay, Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Roxanne Perez, asking about tonight's NXT Women's Title defense against Meiko Satomura. Perez says she's nervous, but she buzzes her you know what to make sure this outcome is different than their first meeting. She knows Meiko is going to test her, but that's why she's exhausted all options at the WWE Performance Center. She pushes herself past her limit and does all she can do. She knows this isn't her first title defense, but it's the biggest. She needs to walk into stand and deliver as champion. But if that's not pressure enough, she has to be a living legend tonight, which will be bigger than the title win. Roxanne Perez says she's acknowledged is nervous. Her heart is being beaten out of her chest, but she's ready and will leave anything in the ring to keep the title. Mackenzie wishes her good luck. We see Gallus walking backstage. Pretty Deli is also heading out back to commercial. Let me take a sip of my water. Okay, back from the break, and Josh Briggs approaches NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Kiana James in her office. They talk about how much Brooke Jansen loves her and how he hasn't been the same since Valentine's Day. James admits things have been a little off, but she picked up some extra work to equations she wasn't expecting, but she just wants things made right. She mentions the equations while touching her pla- planner. Briggs says she needs to take the lead here. James says maybe a makeup date in order. Briggs leaves as James looks down at her planner. We go back to the ring and NXT Tag Team Champions Gallus are out. Mark Coffey and Wolfgang they address Pretty Daily and call them out to prove them wrong. The music hits. We hear Kid Wilson and Elton Price, but they're high up on on the platform above the crowd. They talk a bunch of nonsense, but Wolfgang yells at them to shut up, asking what do they have to do to get a real face to face. Pretty Deli wants the titles, which they can't live without. They had them stolen months ago as they were on the way to the top, and now they want them back. Gallus, Gallus says they will make a deal. They place the title belts on the mat, and Company tells Pretty Deadly to come get them. Pretty Deadly rushes down to the ring area as Gallus promised they won't do anything. Pretty Deadly hits the apron and Gallus yanks them over the top rope to the mat. Gallus now takes turns beating Price and Wilson up. Pretty Deadly regroups at ringside, and they're not happy as Gallus stands tall in the ring. Excuse me. We go we go to a new promo from Lakira Valkyrie. Valkyria. She didn't come to NXT to seek information. She came to seek battle, and she's delivered Deville into a world to ascend after dealing with others to ski to sex have opened up her eyes. It's on the NXT Women's title. She addressed Meiko Satomura and says their fight paths have crossed before, but next time the course will be corrected. She says she and Roxanne Perez are on very different journeys, but fate will decide if they collide. She says whoever is champion after tonight, just remember that she only travels where the crow flies, and that's straight to the top. Okay, excuse me. So we get the NXT champion, Braun Breaker and the Creed brothers versus Ginger Mahal and Veer Mahal and Sanga. This match, this was a solid. Um, this was solid. Yeah. This was no one. This ain't solid. This was okay match. This was okay match for what it was. We go back to the ring for tonight's 6-man match, and out comes first. Out first comes the Creed brothers, Julius Creed and Brodus Creed, and Avi 9. They wait on the entrance way, and out next comes the NXT champion Braun Breaker. The baby faces hit the ring together and pose as we go to commercial. So this was a 6-man tag match. This was okay for what it was. But anyway, back from the break, we get a promo from Light Dragunov. He says the eyes are the window to the soul, but JD Madar has no soul. He says JD discovers happiness and infliction by infliction and anguish. Enjoyment from him comes in the form of snapping man's bones and breaking their spirits. Dragunov says JD would never break his will because the Caesar is on. We see Dragon Lee sitting at ringside. The music hits, and out comes Jinder Mahal, Veer Mahal, and Saga. A brawl immediately breaks out in the ring. They go to the floor. The Creeds get the upper hand at first, but Saga takes out both brothers and Veer take out Braun by himself. The bell rings with Braun and Veer going at it with big strikes now. Veer missed a clothesline attempt and Braun nails a big clothesline up his own. Braun takes it to the corner and comes Julius for a double team. Julius with a big overhead suplex, but tags in now, and Julius slams him on top of Veer for two. Veer fights back with big knee strikes. Ginger tags back in to take over. Brutus counters with a long vertical suplex of his own. Ginger needs Brutus, but Brutus kicks him. Braun tags in, but Ginger wants none of him, so he tags in Saga. Braun walks Saga, but it does nothing. Saga takes Braun to the corner and hits him with a big strike. Braun stuns Saga and staggers him with an elbow off the middle rope. Braun sends Sagna over the top rope to the floor, but he's still standing. Ginger and Veer run in, but the Creeds take them out, sending them to the floor. Braun and the Creed barks along in the ring now. They then run the ropes and leap out, taking the heels down on the floor. Braun and the Creed stand on a barrier and pose with fans as we go to picture commercial. Okay, excuse me. Back from the break, and the heels have dominated. Ginger controls Julius now, dropping him with high knee for a 2 count. Carmelo Hayes has joined the announcer for commentary. Ginger grounds Julius with a camel clutch now. While taunting Braun, Julius fights out, but Ginger rakes the eyes. They both counter and go for tags. Brutus unloads on Veer. Then rocks Sagna on the apron. Brutus with big forearms to Veer. Then he takes Sagna out on the floor. Brutus rocks. Brutus runs back in, but Veer flattens him. Sagna comes in and dominates Brutus now, sending him into Julius 2, knocks him off the apron. Brutus unloads on Sagna and hits a big slingshot suplex. Braun tags in with a big top rope moonsault onto Sagna. Julius Julius tags in and follows up with a top rope splash to Sagna for 2 as Veer breaks it up just in time. Sagna from Julius shoulders rocks Braun and Brutus to the floor. Then levels Julius with a lariat. And this year double teams Julius for a close 2 count as Braun rushes back in to break the paint up. Sagana with a big choke slam to Julius as the referee tries to restore order. Sagana then whips Julius into a lariat for a veer from Veer. Julius kicks out at 2 just in time. Braun ends up hitting a big spear on Ginger to take him out to the floor. Braun tangles with Sagna and levels him with a spear. Now, as Julius fights with Veer, Sagna drops Braun on his head. Brutus goes to the top and knocks Veer off Julius' shoulders with a Brutus ball white, while Nah cheers them on from ringside for the pin to win. The winner of the match, Braun Breaker and the Creed Brothers. That match was okay. That 6-man tag match was okay for what it was. After the match, Braun Breaker and the Creed brothers celebrate with Ivy as the music hits. We go to replay. Carmelo Hayes looks on at Braun Breaker. Okay, before I continue, Showstopper TV said this for several months. He said this for several months. This is Carmelo Hayes' time to take the NXT champion off of Braun Breaker, and I cannot wait for standing delivery when Carmelo Hayes takes the NXT champion away from off of Braun Breaker. I cannot wait, and I'm calling it down the middle that Carmelo Hayes is going to take the NXT championship away from Braun Breaker. I'm calling it right now. I got Carmelo Hayes winning at standing delivery. Okay, let me continue. We see Grayson Waller walking backstage. We see WWE Hall of Famer and Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative Shawn Michaels with the WWE Performance Center head coach Matt Bloom. Now, Matt Bloom asks Shawn Michaels if he's sure he wants to go do this. Shawn says he's not sure, but he feels like he's got to anyway. Shawn Michaels thanks Matt Bloom for his concern and says he's got this. Shawn walks off. Back to commercial. Back from the break, we see recent happenings between Gigi Dillon and JC Jane. We see Miko Satomura warming up for the main event. And this was a good segment right here. This was a good segment. The music hits and we go to the Grayson Waller effect in the ring. Grayson Waller welcomes us to the most important TGWE of all time and says he doesn't have time for your questions tonight. Grayson Waller introduced his guest and out comes WWE Hall of Famer and Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative Shawn Michaels to a pop. Shawn Michaels and Waller take their seats, and fans finish singing Shawn Michaels' theme. Waller says 10 years old, Waller would be freaking out like these people. He goes on about how Shawn Michaels will disappoint him one day. A young Waller should been a Bret Hart guy, not a Shawn Michaels guy. Shawn Michaels says, "We're taking the glove off." He recalled how he and Waller used to be cool. They used to talk about now. Waller hates him. Waller praised himself as the best, but fans boo. He recalls telling Shawn Michaels he was taking over the band for some reason. Shawn Michaels is holding him back and treating him just like Vince McMahon did Shawn. He said Shawn proved Vince wrong, but now Shawn is Vince. Waller wonders if it's because he doesn't kiss Michaels, you know what, or pose for his photo, or jealousy. Waller says Michaels is holding him back. Shawn Michaels arguably dismissed this idea and says this is because Waller lost at Vengeance Day. Waller took his shot and missed when they had a deceived winner in the NXT title match. Shawn Michaels says Waller needs to look at the guy in the mirror. Waller says the only reason Shawn Michaels has this role, the role is because his friends, WWE Hall of Famer and Chief Content Officer Triple H, had a heart attack. Shawn Michaels admits he helped his friend out and it was the least he could do for all. Triple H did for himself over the years. He says Triple H has was in charge, but HBK is steering the ship now. Fans pop. Grayson Waller goes on about how he's the top star of the brand. He's still the show. Waller isn't surprised if he cuts after WrestleMania because Shawn Michaels and his team want a star so bad that don't see the one in front of them. Shawn Michaels says that's the problem. Waller thinks they bigger than the brand. Shawn Michaels named several NXT superstars from the past and some of today's stars, including Waller being a part of it, but just a part. Waller says Shawn Michaels has everyone fooled, but he sees through it because Shawn Michaels was all about himself in his own career. Shawn Michaels says this is true, but he changed when he came to NXT because this place feels special. Waller questions who actually gets to Raw or SmackDown and says he's sick of this place. The fans who came every week and chant everything. Waller goes on until Michaels yells enough in his face. Michael says Waller can run him down because people have been doing it for 40 years, but never runs this brand down. Fans chant NXT now. Shawn Michaels admits it pissed him off. Waller Grayson Waller tells him to do something about it. Challenged Shawn Michaels to a match at Standing Delivery. Fans chant yes, and one more match as Michaels takes his coat off. Michael says people have been asking him for dream matches for years, offering big money, and Waller thinks it's special, but he's just the guy doing it in 2023. It happens before and it will keep happening each year, and nothing will thrill Shawn Michaels more than to whip Waller's at standing delivery. But the reality is there is someone who wants to do it more, and he believes NXT more than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels goes on and introduce Waller's opponent from standing delivery. Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano. Fans go wild and Waller bounces around for a fight. Johnny Gargano hits the ring and decks Waller. Waller retreats to avoid a super kick. Fans chant Johnny Wrestling as the music starts back up and Gargano yells at Waller from the ring. Um, this was a good segment. Good segment. Still to come, Gigi Dillon versus JC Jane. Back to commercial. Okay, so we get Gigi Dillon versus JC Jane. This match was terrible. We go back to the ring. And out first comes Gigi Dillon. JC Jane is out next. The bell rings and they go at it as fans do dueling chants. JC Jane hits Gigi Dillon and throws a cross chop. Gigi Dillon tackles Jesse Jane through the ropes to the floor. They continue brawling on the floor as the referee counts. Gigi Dillon brings it back in, blocks a kick, and takes Jesse Jane down for two. Gigi Dillon ragdolls Jesse Jane some while talking trash. Jesse J Jesse Jane tries to retreat, but Gigi Dillon brings her back in. Jesse Jane Jesse Jane tries again, but this time she suckers Gigi Dillon and drops her. A steel chair comes into play, but the referee use his distraction and keeps the match going as Gigi Dillon is hit. We go to picture in picture commercial break. Back from the break as Jesse J has Gigi Dillon grounded in the middle of the ring. Fans really and now they fight on their feet. Jesse Jane with a takedown and strikes. Jesse Jane goes on and hits a corner close on for two. Fans do dueling chants now as Gigi Dillon cradles Jesse Jane for two. Jesse Jane cuts Gigi Dillon off with a neckbreaker and a senton for two. Jesse Jane screams out in frustration. Gigi Dillon counters and hits a SOS for the very quick pin to win out of nowhere. The winner of the match, Gigi Dillon. This match was terrible. After the match, the pin shocks everyone, but Gigi Dillon stands tall and celebrates as the music hits. We go to replays. Jesse Jane attacks Gigi Dillon now and mouths her with punches as fans boo. Jesse Jane brings a steel chair in the ring and wraps it around Gigi Dillon's hand. Jesse Jane goes to the top as the referees rush down to try to restore order, bringing her down off the top to booze. Jesse Jane exits and looks back at the ring while Gigi Dillon tries to recover. Okay, so we get that. So WWE, I'm sorry, NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Fallon Henley is backstage with Brooke Jensen. They both hope the others is doing all right. Josh Riggs walks in and mentions Jensen Flowers being on the desk of NXT's Women's Tag Team Champion Kiana James, but it's clear Jensen didn't send them, but he doesn't pick up on this. Jensen takes a phone and call from James and then leaves to go on a date with her. It's very excited. Fallon Henley says, besides on his reaction, it's clear he didn't send those flowers to James. Briggs agrees. Fallon Henley says she knew something was wrong all this time, but no one listened to her. Briggs can't believe he's going to she's going to say this, but Fallon Henley was right. She asks, what are they going to do about it? We go back to the ring and out comes the NXT champion Braun Breaker for an unexpected appearance. Braun Breaker says it's time for the biggest matches on the biggest stage. There are no more obstacles or roadblocks. So at NXT Stand Delivery, Braun calls out Carmelo Hayes and asks where he's at. Carmelo Hayes hits the ring and agrees it is time for their paths to cross as two of NXT biggest. Braun Breaker can agree more. He says they've been doing their own thing, but each week after a win, he was disappointed when Carmelo Hayes wasn't next. They both admit to keep tabs on each other. They recalled a meeting with Triple H and Shawn Michaels in August 2021, where they said NXT was about to change. They picked Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes to have what they wanted. Carmelo Hayes says they both prove themselves. Braun Breaker says they both run fast and hard, but there's nowhere else to go except at each other. Carmelo Hayes goes on and tells Braun Breaker to put the NXT title on the line, and he will. See him as Stand and Deliver. Carmelo Hayes says to remember he never been secondary to anybody. Braun says we will see on April 1st. Braun Breaker music hits and they face to face while Braun Breaker raised the title in the air. I'm just gonna predict this right now. Me and Showstopper TV are the only two going to predict this right now. This is Carmelo Hayes' time. Because you know why I said that? Because Carmelo Hayes got the swag, he got the look, and Carmelo Hayes don't miss. And that's all I gotta say. Showstar TV has been saying it for several months that Carmelo Hayes wants to that Carmelo Hayes is going to take the NXT Championship off of Braun Breaker. Watch me and Showstopper TV tell you. Anyway, I just had to put this out there. We see Tyler Bate backstage teaching Thea Hall how to deal with trauma using yoga and breathing. Andre Chase and Duke Hudson watch and are glad to see how improving. Tyler Bate talks some more words for encouragement to Hall and wishes Chase good luck in tonight's match. Chase U walks off, but Duke stops and says he can't believe anyone would buy that snake. That snake all bite is selling. Duke Hudson keep walking. So we get Joe Gacy versus Andre Chase. This match right here. This was this was well, where I was at. This match right here. This was decent. Decent match. We go back to the ring, and out comes the scheme. Joe Gacy in with Ava, Rain, Red Flower, and Jagger Red. We go to picture commercial break. Chase University comes out next during the break. Um, Andre Chase with Thea Hall and Duke Hudson. The match went on for several minutes during the break, but come back to Chase dropping Joe Gacy and stomping away at the Chase U student section chant CHASEU with him. Chase with a side slam for a close to count. Fans continue rally for Chase U. He goes for the figure four, but Joe Gacy kicks him away. Um, Joe Gacy keeps fighting and hits a big boot, but then runs into a super kick. Joe Gacy with a big U-range in the middle of the ring. Excuse me. Back. I'm sorry. More back and forth now. They trade big strikes from their knees. Now as Duke Hudson and Howell look on. Joe Gacy rocks Chase and takes him to the top while Ava and Di yells from ringside. Chase blocks his superplex and unloads with punches to the ribs. Chase with a sunset bomb for a close to count. They'll use her breathing techniques from Tyler Bates, hyping herself up at ringside. Then she runs over and confronts Ava at ringside. Ha yells at Ava and says she's not afraid. Then she high fives Chase. Joe Gacy takes advantage of this and hits the slingshot Larry for the pin to win. The winner of the match, Joe Gacy. This match was decent. After the match, Hall and Duke Hudson are shocked at the loss. The Skins music hits and they stand tall over Chase in the middle of the ring. We get a new vengeance from Alba Fry and also Don, who have a fire and what looks like an Audra, U-Draw board and other items. Frey says tonight the moon shines above them, so together they will perform a full moon ritual. They address Kaden Carter and Kiana Chance once being the longest reigning champs of NXT, but now they struggle to remain to remain bound together. They wonder if there ever been any harmony at all between Ivy and Tatum Paxley. Apple Frey says their reflection shows that she is a vicious as the beast that hatching on the autumn night, and Dawn is a cunning as the ones that dance dance in the dark. For they are unrevealed, they go on and declare next week they will march forward by claiming their lot. Back from the break, and Chase-U is backstage despite the loss. Thea Ha is proud of conquering her fears and standing up to Alvarez. Andre Chase agrees. Duke Hudson as if they forgot about the loss. He goes on and says there are an institution of losers. They are pathetic. They are not a university. They're a bloody joke. Duke storms off. Okay, Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with the NXT North American Champion Wes Lee. She says people are asking about his open challenge. Wes Lee talks about retaining over Nathan Frazier and says he loves all the chaos and commotion around here. Wesley announces an open challenge for next week. Axel interrupts and says he was ready, but Frazier stops him last week. But he next week he's taking the challenge. Wesley says if Axel gets to the ring first, he knows they will tear it up. Johnny Gargano will be here next week. Okay, let's move on. So we get the main event of the evening. So we get the NXT Women's Champion match. Meiko Satomura versus Roxanne Perez. This was the match of the night. But I'm before I get to this main event review. Before I read this, I just want to say hats off to Roxanne Perez and Meiko Satomura. They both killed this. This was the match of the night. Okay, let me read this. We go back to the ring for tonight's main event, and out comes first Meiko Satomura. NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez is out next. We get formal ring introductions from Alicia Taylor. The bell rings. If they the bell rings and they face off in the middle of the ring. Roxanne Perez moves to Meiko Satomura, and Meiko Satomura bumps her away as we go to picture in picture to start the main event. And that's the only part that I hate, that they went to commercial break. Soon as the match finished start, they went to commercial break. That was the worst time to go to commercial break. Okay, let me continue. The match went back and forth during the break with mainly a feeling out process. Back from the break, and Roxanne Perez grabs the bottom up to avoid a submission. Fans do dueling chants as they lock up for a test of strength. They trade pins attempts. Miku Miku Satomura with a body strike, then a shoulder takedown for a pop. Meiko Satomura takes Roxanne Perez down and grounds her with a headlock as fans rally. Meiko Satomura takes Roxanne Perez down and goes to transition into a surfboard, but Roxanne Perez turns it into a headlock. Roxanne Perez makes an opening while Meiko Satomura is on the floor. Roxanne Perez charged, but Meiko Satomura meets her at the top rope with a big forearm to prevent the dive. Meiko Satomura brings it back in and keeps control for two. Roxanne Perez rolls Meiko Satomura from the corner for two. Meiko Satomura with another leg submission in the middle of the ring. Roxanne Perez rolls out onto a submission of her own, then a headlock on their feet. They collide with shoulder blocks, and again. Meiko Satomura slaps Roxanne Perez around and then unloads with stiff strikes while Roxanne Perez is on her knees. Roxanne Perez gets up and Meiko Satomura charges with a forearm. Roxanne Perez gets right back up, screams and shakes her head. They go at it, and Meiko Satomura nails a big kick. Meiko Satomura with another big kick. Roxanne Perez tells her to bring it, and then hits a leg whip. Roxanne Perez is fired up as fans chant for her. Roxanne Perez with running uppercuts in the corner. Meiko Satomura counters and sends Roxanne Perez to the mat, but missed the Scorpion Rising knee. Scorpion Rising. Roxanne Perez with a drop kick. Roxanne Perez sends Meiko Satomura to the floor, then flies out with double knees. Roxanne Perez brings it back in and goes to the top, but Meiko Satomura kicks her. Meiko Satomura climbs up for a superplex, but Roxanne Perez fights back. Roxanne Perez slides out and climbs back up for a super Russian leg sweep, but Meiko Satomura resists. Roxanne Perez tries for a sunset bomb, but Meiko Satomura drops her with elbow strikes and a kick. Meiko Satomura with a splash, but Roxanne Perez gets her knees up. Meiko Satomura kicks out at 2. They trade strikes as fans do dueling chants. Roxanne Perez falls off Meiko Satomura's shoulders and hits the side Russian leg sweep for 2. Meiko Satomura with a curve flick for 2. Meiko Satomura slams Roxanne Perez on the back of her head. Roxanne Perez fights Meiko Satomura off with elbows, but Meiko Satomura with drops her with the overhead kick. Meiko Satomura with a big suplex to drop Roxanne Perez on her head for 2. Okay, more back and forth now. Excuse me. More back and forth now. Meiko Satomura hits the big DVD from her shoulders. Then Scorpion rising. Roxanne Perez still kicks out at 2. Roxanne Perez rolls to the apron as an NXT chant starts up. Meiko Satomura with kicks on the apron now. Roxanne Perez fights back, then runs Meiko Satomura face first into the ring post. Roxanne Perez keeps fighting on the floor, but Meiko Satomura blocks pop rocks on the floor as Roxanne Perez lands hard. Meiko Satomura with another big stiff strike before bringing it back in for a close 2 count. As Roxanne Perez gets her foot on the bottom ropes just in time. Fans rally now as Meiko Satomura delivers more kicks. Fans do dueling chants. Roxanne Perez ducks a Scorpio rising, and rolls Meiko Satomura up for the pin to win and retain out of nowhere. The winner is still your NXT champion. The winner is still your NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. That was the match of the night right here. But here's the scary part right here. After the bell, Roxanne Perez and the after the bell, Roxanne Perez and the announcers are shocked as the music hits and we go to replay. Roxanne Perez is on her knees now when Meiko Satomura brings the title bell in. Meiko Satomura presents the title to Roxanne Perez, then bows to her. Roxanne stands with Meiko Satomura to celebrate, but Roxanne Perez suddenly collapses with the title. Meiko Satomura isn't sure what to do. The referee checks on Roxanne Perez, and he calls for more officials and then medicals. They check on Roxanne Perez, and a stretcher is brought out. Booker T enters the ring to check on his former student. The crowd is silent. Shawn Michaels runs out and checks on Roxanne Perez is put on a stretcher. Roxanne Perez is loaded onto the stretcher. Then will away as fans chant. Will then wheels away as as fans cheer for her. The camera follows as the stretcher is pushed through the back onto the ambulance waiting at the back door. Someone yells to get the ambulance out of here. As Roxanne Perez is loaded into it, the storyline injured angles continues as NXT Roadblock goes off the air. That was some scary situation. That was a scary situation, and that was tough. But I will keep my prayers in Roxanne. I'll keep Roxanne Perez in my prayers. So that's all I gotta say. Other than that, WWE NXT Roadblock was a 5.1. That's all I gotta say. It was just a 5.1. That's all I gotta say. But anyway, if you guys enjoy my WWE NXT Roadblock review and highlights, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below on what your thoughts on WWE NXT Roadblock. But like I said earlier, I'm gonna keep Roxanne Perez in my prayers, and that's all I gotta say. I hope she makes a speedy recovery. Cause is she gonna vacate the title at Stand and Delivery? We never know. But I'm keeping Roxanne Perez in my prayers, and I hope she makes a speedy recovery. But that was tough to watch, man. That was some scary stuff to watch. But anyway, follow my social media, my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch, and Discord down below in the description. And I will see you guys tomorrow for my AEW Dynamite review and highlights. This your boy Big Boy Faction on TV. Have a great night. Stay safe and always stay positive. KFG crew, KFG Kings, too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang.